fruit is one major thing in human health, but many a times we just decide to take it the way we like, not considering the nutritional value of fruit and vegetable, especially to the elderly ones. This episode of The Opinion will be focusing on fruit and vegetable. My name is Jonathan Le Rama, welcoming you to today's edition of The Opinion. In case if you are just joining us, is The Opinion on Amare TV. And just before the break, I said our topic today, the importance of fruit to human health. And I said my guest today is from the Department of Nutrition and Dietetics of the Federal Polytechnic, Bida, Mr. Godfrey Mweze. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for bringing me here in this studio.
Now, many times we take fruit as a normal thing for us to just eat the juicy part of it, not knowing fully well that an apple a day can actually keep us far from doctor. Now, how important is fruit to human health?
Well, before I get into that, I would like to define or explain what fruit actually is. Number one, there is what we call fertilization. And in plant fertilization is the mixing of, the interaction between the pollen anthem and the stigma. Once this pollen fall on the stigma, they attract each other. And then there is fertilization. And once there is fertilization, you form what we call the ovum. From the ovum, you form the fruit. And then most of the time, these fruits could be outside the, either outside the soil or down the soil. So when there's pollination, there's what we call fruits. And from the fruits, you get the seeds. Some of the seeds are even outside the seed, outside the fruits. So having known this, we can also talk about the colors of the fruits. Because what you get from the fruits depends on the color. Some are red, some are variegated, meaning that it has many colors. Some are yellow, some are white. And we can determine what you get from the fruit based on what color it contains. I'll give you an example. If you have any color that is very reddish, you are likely to get what we call vitamin A, or you get what we call carotene. And carotene is a precursor of vitamin A. And if I pick vitamin A now, I'll tell you what vitamin A can do for us. But generally, fruits contain what we call vitamins and minerals. We have 6 nutrients in a food, or in some foods. We have the carbohydrates, we have the protein, we have the vitamins, we have the minerals, and we have water. Then these are the 6. Fats and oil, I've omitted that. So if you come to fruits, the major nutrients they give is vitamins and minerals. And nutritionists call them protective nutrients. So generally, fruits gives you protection or boost your immunity.
Now, that's where our target is actually. The functions of some of these fruits. Like, some people will definitely tell you that, I don't like banana.
Good.
Why some will tell you that I like banana.
Good.
Now, what makes this varies in the likeness of some of these fruits?
What they say, knowledge is power. As a nutritionist, I don't discriminate against fruits. Having known what they will give me, once you know that these things are for your healthy living, you don't need to discriminate against them. Rather, you will embrace all of them and then eat as many varieties as you can afford. So let's take, for instance, those who don't like carrots. Carrots are very high in vitamin A. And vitamin A, we know, is good for your eyes. It's good for your eyes. So if you don't have enough of vitamin A, you may have problem with your sight. And one of them is night blindness or conjunctivitis. That's the inflammation of the conjunctiva. So these are some of the problems you may have. Poor vision. So if you say you don't like carrot, you are playing with your eyes. Though you may say that carrot is not the only source of vitamin A. So the more you miss some of these fruits, you may not know what they contain if you are not a professional. So it's better you embrace all of them.
Well, Okay, so that means yes, you have to take all these fruits.
Varieties of fruits.
But you definitely agree with me that it's not all these fruits that is well tasting in the mouth. There are some that are like sour, like the
So-
agbalumo. Let me use
Ah.
the word. The agbalumo. Then
Okay, that will take me to another vitamin that is very, very important. I told you fruits contain a lot of vitamins and minerals.
Yes.
If you take abalumo, for example, Odara, the Igbo people call it Odara, then the Yoruba call it abalumo. I don't know what they call it in Nupe. But if you take abalumo, for example, once you take it, most of these fruits you take, and it gives you a sour taste, they are rich in vitamin C.
more than the ones that are not even sour.
Yes. And vitamin C can boost your immunity. Is one of the what we call antioxidants. One of the functions of antioxidants, they can prevent cancer. So if you say you not take abalumo or other fruits that gives you sour taste, you are definitely inviting some of these problems. Pepper that people run away from contain high level of vitamin A. And then you may say because pepper is pepperish, then you avoid pepper. But because of the reddish color, it has high level of vitamin A. It's a spicy food too, especially when you are feeling feverish. Once you take your pepperish like pepper soup, then it gives you, that's what we call thermogenic foods. Those foods that you take, they will release heat within you. So if you are feverish, it helps you in generating heat, and your body will be warm. So if you avoid one, you are missing the importance of that fruit. What I will advise, take varieties of, even if you are taking one in the morning, like your apple, try to take agbalumo in the afternoon. And then most of the time you see that these fruits are seasonal. So if you cannot afford it this year, wait when it will be surplus. And those times when some of these fruits are seasonal, they are very cheap. For example, we're in the season of rainy season now.
Yes.
Which fruit do you think is available now?
Even the granite.
The granite is everywhere. So if you take a granite, then you are helping yourself. Because if you take it whole, like without frying, then you boil and then, this granite contain a lot of fiber. We are coming to that. Then fruits contain a lot of fiber, and I'll tell you what fiber can do to your body to make you stay healthy. So if you pick up your granite, for example, this season, you boil. That's what I normally do. I go to the modern market, buy in bulk, cook the way I want. Some people don't like it with salt. Some like it with salt.
I was actually coming to that because, yes.
So you cook at your taste. Okay. And then we can also talk about how cooking can affect what we get from fruits.
I was actually coming to that. That would have been my next question because, yes, cooking some of these fruits, especially, let's use the granite as an example. And you just make mention that, yes, either you add salt to it, just like the way I said initially, it's just for us to add taste to it, not considering the health benefit of it. Now, looking at
addition of salt?
Yes.
Professional, like anybody reading nutrition, most of the places they read nutrition, they read dietetics too. And dietetics is the science that applies the knowledge of nutrition. In diagnosing, first of all, you have to diagnose your patient. You have to profess solution, and then you monitor what you have professed, whether it's working. Do you understand? Now, if you get a patient, and then you have looked at him, assessed him nutritionally, and you discover his problem or her problem, what you normally do, based on his own or her health status, then you are going to prefer a kind of a therapeutic nutrition that will suit the individual's health. For example, you have just mentioned granite and cooking it with salt. If I'm hypertensive, for example, I don't need to cook granite with salt because the salt will release a lot of sodium that will make your BP high. So it's not good to cook if you're hypertensive. But if you're not hypertensive, nothing is bad about that. So I'm coming to another cooking again. If you get your leafy vegetable, for example, or fruits that are very fleshy, for example, I take pear, for example, and then you slice your pear, remove the seed, and then you cook the pear. If you overcook this pear, we recommend that you cook like 5 minutes, steaming. You steam like 5 minutes, that you are done. Otherwise, there are what we call vitamins, because they contain a lot of vitamins and minerals that are liable to heat. Heat destroy them a lot. So if you overcook them, you are already destroying what you're supposed to get from the food. What you are taking is chaff. So every other thing is gone.
Let's quickly look at the vegetable, just like the way you mentioned. Let's look at the spinach. That's the alefo in the local, or the ugu.
Or eforiro.
Or eforiro. Okay. Yes, you know, some people tend to like boil it with hot water
Good.
before using it.
Okay.
Before adding it to
your meal.
To your meal, either for the soup that we usually know. Is it actually appropriate to cook some of these things with hot water? Because me, I was actually thinking that when you use hot water, the nutrient is actually going out of it. But because of germs and some other insects that you might find inside the spinach, you tend to boil it or to wash with hot water. Is it actually appropriate?
It's appropriate depending on the vegetable. You know, vegetable and fruit, they play the same role. Two of them gives you minerals and vitamins. And just as I said, minerals and vitamins, they are protective in nature. They boost your immunity. There are vegetables you cannot eat raw. If you eat them raw, they go the way they come into your system and goes out. It will rather cause you diarrhea because the body cannot digest them. And they contain raw material that can even influence your GI tract. So there are fruits you can eat raw. There are fruits you have to pre-cook before you eat them. These are processing mechanism. I'll give you an example. If you get something like angara, this that they normally used to do African salad.
Okay.
You know that leafy vegetable they used to do African salad? You can eat it raw. Garden egg leaf, you can eat it raw. So, but you can't pick up the spinach you're talking about and eat raw. You'll definitely have a problem. So, cooking vegetable, like what I just said, it can pass 5 minutes. And like what you said, we call it steaming. You can steam because of microbacteria, microorganism, that is including bacteria, virus, and fungi, and co. You can pre-cook to make it digestible. So, but what we are saying, don't cook more than 5 minutes. Let me give you another thing that will shock you again. Some people, when they want to cook with vegetable, they would slice the vegetable first, wash the vegetable, and then use it. You have already lost some of the nutrients because there's what you call leaching of the nutrients from the vegetable to the water you are using to. So the best way to process, get your vegetable, wash with the salt, and then slice, and it's ready for use.
Instead of slicing before washing.
No.
All right, I'll be speaking with a nutritionist from Department of Nutrition and Dietetics of the Federal Polytechnic, BIDA. And we've been discussing about fruits and vegetables. Stay with us. Thank you. And we are still on the program, The Opinion, and we've been discussing on fruit generally. And I still have my guest, Mr. Godfrey Nweze. We've actually talked about a lot concerning fruit, and this next phase that I actually want us to talk about has to do with my parents. Let me use the word because every elderly people, I call them my parents, just like you. Anyway, you are still young. All right. Now, the kind of fruit that is actually good for the elderly people, the aged people, what kind of fruits will you recommend for the elderly people?
Thank you very much. If you come to elderly, the nutritionists, we call them the aged, senior citizen, or the gerontologist.
Sure, now we'll get there someday.
So, so everybody is praying to be there one day. Then they need this fruit more than any other person. You know, once you grow old, most of your immunity capacity is gone. And then it is these fruits that will give you, boost your immunity and make you stay healthy. Even their hygiene, they begin to get poor hygiene. They couldn't do some activities you can do as a young man. The activity becomes low. And then they don't supposed to eat more carbohydrates, more fats, oil, and so on and so forth. What they need mostly is this fruits and vegetables because they are in what we call a maintenance ration, just to keep them fit and keep them alive. They should be mindful of the kind of fruits they take. One, if you look at something like apple, it has no effect on them. If you look at something like watermelon, it has no effect on, because most of them are dehydrated and need to be hydrated. That by dehydration, I mean they've lost a lot of water and they need more fluid to keep themselves healthy. So something like watermelon has a lot of water, and then they need to have electrolytes that will keep the body system, at balance. If not, then most of these electrolytes will come to the pivotal areas like the ankle, the wrist, and then you see them developing what we call edema. How do you know edema? If you press somebody that has a swollen if it doesn't return back, it goes down, then it's called edema. So if you want to avoid it, they need more fruits to keep these electrolytes in balance. And then we talk about fiber. Fruits and vegetables contain a lot of fiber, because fiber is classified as carbohydrate. But one of the features of this fiber is that they're not easily digestible. So what happens is that you give these elderly people a high quantity of meal, but what they're going to pick from this meal is very minute. So the fiber is not digested, it goes out that, so it keeps the vein open and the blood will flow very well. It's good for somebody who is diabetic too. It's good for somebody who is trying to monitor weight. It's good for somebody who have arthritis. It's good for somebody. So the root of most of this problem is overweight and obesity. And the only way to control some of this thing is taking more of fruits and vegetables. Once you do that, the weight will come down and the veins will open up, and then there will be easy flow of blood. Just like at age 40, you should be careful of what you take. Especially when you have reached like 70 and upwards, even 60 at retirements. When you retire, we call you senior citizen. You are now at this category of aged. Now, if you are diabetic, for example, or you are aged and you are taking mango, you are increasing the level of your sugar. And sugar, once you are diabetic and you are taking fruit that contain a lot of sugar, you are not doing yourself any good. You are causing more harm than good. So some of these fruits, like what I said initially, it depends on what they contain. And then it depends on who you are health-wise. What you're suffering from determines what you eat. And we say what you eat is what you are.
We Nigerians, we don't normally like to have some of these fruits within our immediate environment, maybe inside our compound. Now, what will now be your advice for Nigerians generally so that they can...
When you are shopping for your fruits, you can shop for your fruits. And then get your fruit rack where you can store some of these fruits, depending on how long they can last. Then you can even store in fridge. You can process some of them and then you can dry. You can dry. Like per serving per day, you get like 80 grams. If it's dry, it's 30 grams per serving per day. So if it's dry, you know that the moisture content will be reduced. And so the weight becomes less. But the fresh one will be way more because of the moisture content. So it depends on how you can process fruits and keep for when they are out of season.
Now, some people actually say that it is good for you to take fruit before meal. How true is that?
It can serve as appetizer. It can even serve as a therapy for those who are having ulcer. Ulcer, what is the cause of ulcer? Wound inside your body. And most of the common causes is this acid that normally digests protein in your body. If there's no food inside your body and then the body secretes this acid, hydrochloric acid, what will happen? It will digest your system. Now, if you come to the elderly people or the aged people, then it is advisable. In fact, one of their major things should be fruits and vegetables. Because, like what I've just said before, their activities are very low. It's only during the activities you burn some of these fats, but they don't have the energy again to carry themselves. So all you need to do to give them vitamins and minerals that will keep them healthy. And then they boost their immunity so that they can resist some of these microorganisms. So it's part of their meal. So if you're making a therapeutic diet for the aged people, one of them should be more of fruits, less carbohydrate, less fats and oil, and then protein should go high because they need to build up the worn-out tissues. If you look at the elderly people again now, constipation is one of the features they normally display. And then fruits helps in digestion. It helps in evacuating the system. So it makes them to defecate very easily. So it's good for them.
All right, sir.
Thank
you very much for your time.
It's my pleasure.
And hope next week you will oblige us.
I will come.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Have
sir.
a nice day.
Now, I've been speaking with a nutritionist from the Department of Nutrition and Dietetics of the Federal Polytechnic, BIDA, Mr. Godfrey Nweze. And from all indication, you are what you eat. Join us next week for another interesting edition of the program. I'm Jonathan Le Rama. See you.